Hey everyone, welcome to Join Her. Today, like I told you guys, we had a special guest coming. It's my dad. If you guys don't know,
Hello.
he's my dad. He's raised me and my sisters. And today we're going to be talking about like the importance of black fathers, his experience being a black father, and my experience having a black father. If any of you know I'm a daddy's girl. He's the reason why. So, Dad, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Daryl Joyner. I'm Mercedes' dad.
So, like I said, we're talking about the importance of black fathers. Why do you think black fathers are important, not only to girls, but to pretty much anyone who has a black father?
Black fathers are just as important as any other father in any family because just as a mother is the glue that holds family together, a father is the nucleus that actually builds that family. Family starts with the father, or at least it should start with a father. Family starts with a father who is attracted to a woman. A woman he's attracted to, they produce kids. Normally from marriage, hopefully, they produce these children. But a family should always start and kind of roll with the father being the person that's pretty much making the vehicle move.
Yes.
Okay.
So, what are some things that you think that have impacted you with being a father, especially to girls?
Girls, well, number one thing when it comes to being a black father, having girls, is understanding through your wife that you have to be sensitive to things, but tough at the same time with girls. Girls are no joke. In my experience, they're tougher than boys. They don't cry about as many things. And girls adapt to fathers along with the help of a good mother. Girls adapt very well to fathers who are quite involved. So being a father of daughters has been wonderful for me. Hasn't been an issue. And they can turn out to be real tough, almost tomboyish at times, but still ladies. You can always raise them to be ladies with the help of a wonderful woman.
So, you talk a lot about involvement, and like I know we had talked about active fathers.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it that makes you? How have you become so active? Like, obviously, you've been active in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Been there since birth, everything. But how did you become that active father and be able to create yourself to be that role model for us and our sisters?
I mean, a lot of that I learned from my dad and my mother growing up. My dad, he wasn't able to be as active, but that was because it was a different era growing up in the 70s and the 80s, and he worked hard. My dad always worked a couple of jobs until he retired, but that never stopped him from teaching, us how to be men and how to act and, how you should treat a lady. And just, I wanted to, in a lot of ways, emulate, my dad. When it came to emulating him and doing the things that he did as a father, I wouldn't be the father I am without my dad. I mean, the way my dad raised me growing up as a kid and the things that he showed me how to do and just watching him really. You learn a lot from watching a person. So I learned how to be a man by watching my father. And there were times that I felt like my dad could be rough, but there were also times where my dad would teach us a lot of good lessons, and he would, show us things. My dad was more like the kind who, he was real quiet, but even though he was quiet, he always got his point across, and you could ask him things. And when you asked him, he would tell you. Some things, I just kind of based off of that, and that made me decide what type of father I wanted to be using his foundation.
Foundation, yeah. You've instilled that in us.
Okay.
Did you, before becoming a father, did you want girls? Did you want boys?
I never wanted to have a son. I always wanted to have nothing but girls, only because I know the type of guy that I am, and I have my times where I can be a bit rough. So I knew if I had a son, he'd probably turn out to be kind of an ass. And that would have been real rough. I mean, imagining a little me smarter than me, You know, God forbid, bigger than me because I'm a really big guy. And hard-headed, being a teenager, though, oh, I can't even imagine it. Nah, I never wanted a little me, not like that. You know, having little me's when it came to girls, I could deal with it because girls, they're easier to relate to when you're an actual involved father. Girls listen, girls relate to you, girls connect. If you're involved with your daughters, they connect. Not saying that sons don't. I just don't think that I had at that time the actual skill set to connect the way I needed to with a son without being too rough on him. You know, I mean, 9 times out of 10, if I had a son back then, I probably would have made him hate me because I would have wanted him to be so much better than me. I probably would have been trying to instill my thoughts and my dreams and my goals on him that he probably didn't want. So, no, never wanted a son and didn't have one. All girls.
So, with raising all girls, what is the biggest lesson that you wanted to instill in us?
Oh, you guys already know, but for everybody who's watching your blog, the biggest lesson I've ever wanted to instill, or always wanted to make sure I instilled in my daughters, is growing up in this country as black women, even as black men, just black people, period, in this country. Nobody should know your history better than you. You should never have a time when somebody of another culture can approach you and tell you more about your history than you've learned about your history. Don't get me wrong. You'll come across professors and other people who study African history, who study what they call African American history here in this country. Trust me, we do have an African basis, but we are black Americans at the end of the day. You know, there aren't many of us that can find our connection without a DNA test that has to be on both ends to Africa. I don't know my connection to Africa because my mother has traced her side of the family as far back as I think the late 1800s. Anything before that, the average black American can't trace themselves any further than that, if you can trace yourselves any time before, 1900, if that's even possible. So I wanted my girls to know their history so they could know themselves. And when I say know your history, I'm not talking about African history. I'm talking about slavery. I'm talking about where we really come from as black people in this country and where we're going. Know yourself. And no white person, no Asian person, no person of any other type of ethnicity or any other type of race should be able to define your history to you better than somebody in your own race, in your own country. So you got to know yourself.
So, looking at, how we've turned out, me and my sisters, and, everything collectively, moving forward, for the fathers that are upcoming fathers, people that have daughters, even when they have sons, what advice would you give to black fathers right now at this moment?
The best advice I could give to any black father is always understand any child you have is a miracle. It's a miracle that you got this child. It's a miracle that God gives you the grace to be able to raise that child, especially in a country that for us as black fathers didn't want us for one thing, didn't want us for anything except for one thing, which was free labor. You need to understand how you got here. You got here for free labor. You stayed here only because of the fact that there was a fight called a Civil War, which really wasn't even about you, but you were a byproduct of that. And at that point, guess what? You had nowhere to go when it was over but here. There were other things that she and I will talk about later because she knows my hero is Marcus Garvey. So for those of you who don't know anything about Marcus Garvey, you might want to look him up. That's my hero. That's always been my hero. He'll be my hero until the day that I die. Marcus Garvey. Check him out. But like I say, when it comes to that, you gotta understand how to instill certain things in your kids. Like with you guys. My kids have grown up with a slave ship in the window. I got one right over there right now. And there was a reason that I bought that. Actually, I think she might have been 3 months old, maybe a couple of months old when I got that. And there's a reason for having it. And my house is a museum almost in a certain degree. that they've had since they were children. You have to teach your children to understand who they are, where they come from. Your kids need to know their history. You know, as black children coming up in America, our schools don't teach our kids our history. It's up to parents to be parents and teach your children the things they need to know. So as a parent, you don't have to go to some white institution or some white college or university to learn things about yourself. You just have to be willing to do the research. Do some research on your own. You know, find out places that you can take your kids. Like in Chicago, when I used to take them to the DeSable Museum, they understood that. They learned about their history. Teach your kids about things they can find out about. You want your kids to know more than just Barack Obama. You want them to know more than, God rest his soul, Malcolm X. You want them to know more than, God rest his soul, Martin Luther King Jr. You know, you want them to know about Mansa Musa and other things about Africa and how we ended up getting here and where did slaves come from. And when they came here, you know, what was the thing that kept us here? Well, it was basically something called separation. You separated thousands of miles from where you come from. That's an easy way to put you into bondage when you don't speak the language, you have no resources, you have no recourse to get back home because you don't know where you are. It's like somebody taking you from Earth and transporting you out of this galaxy to somewhere else that you've never seen or heard before with some type of being that may have the same shape as you, may have the same carbon base as you, but doesn't look anything like you. But yet you've been chained up and you've been kidnapped. So to guess what? You get to wherever you get to, you're here to work. So you got to know this history because in the schools that our kids go to, they don't teach that sordid history. They don't teach you things. Parents need to be parents. Parents need to teach their kids history. Parents need to understand what your miracle really is. You need to understand, regardless of how you became a parent, be it through marriage, be it through out of wedlock, be it through being out here holding, which a lot of men and women do. Y'all know y'all do. Don't even lie about it. It's a whole bunch of y'all out there that's a bunch of hoes, but that's okay. As long as you acting like a parent, I don't even care about you being a hoe. That's your business. Do what you're going to do. Just be good to your little miracle. This is one of my miracles. And because that's one of my miracles, I had to make a choice in my life that with her older sister, her younger sister, her, my niece that I raised, and even my other nieces and nephews, to be the strongest possible man I could in their lives. And I had to teach them how to get along in a country that wasn't made for them. If I can get along in this country, they can get along in this country. But you also got to understand, you have to educate your children at home. Your kids can't just be educated in a system that wasn't built for them. They need to be educated in a system you build at home. Everything they see in this house every day that they came in here, that was part of their education when they walked in the door. There'll be other stories on her blog that she'll talk about for things that I used to do that they laugh about now, but they understood when they got to college what this was all about. From day one that I had my first miracle, which is my oldest daughter, day one, I knew I had to not only be the best father possible, but I had to be the best man possible that God could make me be. And I had to take God's advice, take my father's advice, take my mother's advice, look for advice from others, follow other black men, and create my own little world that I could make this work for me so that I could teach my daughters how to be ladies and at the same time give them an example of what type of man to look for in their life. If I can be an example to them, then any man that comes to them is not going to step to them incorrect because for one, he got to deal with me. And for two, he needs to understand this is the example she grew up with. She didn't grow up somewhere in some hood or some ghetto. And I know some people be like, oh, so you talk about people from the hood? Yeah, I don't like poverty. I grew up like that. I hated it. But I didn't grow up like that because my parents chose to. My parents worked hard. Both of them worked 2 jobs. But back in the 70s and the 80s, opportunities were limited, even if you were black and had education. You don't believe me? Talk to somebody you know. Talk to somebody you know who had a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a PhD in the 70s and 80s that's black. And ask them exactly how long did it take them to get to what they considered success. It wasn't as quick as it is now. So education is something that we'll get to in one of her blogs. But she wanted to talk about being a father and the things that fathers do and how they should do. And that's just a part of it. What else you want to ask?
So I know earlier we were talking about the difference between, because a lot of people I know they have fathers, but their fathers aren't like how you've been with us. So the difference between like an active father and then just, having a dad who's
You can have a father that's an active father, and that's what I call a true to life father. And you can have a father that's in the house, but he's still a deadbeat. You can be a deadbeat dad living in the house with your children. Don't think because, oh, I go to work and I pay the bills and I work hard, so when I come home, I ain't got time to play with the kids. I ain't got time to spend with my wife or, my significant other because I'm tired, I'm burned out. I just need to sit down and have a beer, or I just need to go watch some sports or just eat and chill out. Nah, dog. No, you don't. No, you don't. Once you have children, you are not on your time. Your time for yourself ended when you had kids. And a lot of people would disagree with that. A lot of people say, well, I need time away from my children. I need time so that I can, just be myself. Nah, dog. That ended when you had kids. The second you decided that you were going to have a child voluntarily, regardless of how you did it, the second you decided that, you handed your life over to them. Because guess what? This is an innocent, young, little person coming into this life that has no recourse. They don't have any idea where they're at, who they are, or what's going on. So it's up to you as a parent to make sure that you're there to take care of them, give them everything they need, teach them what they need. So you got to put you on hold. All that kicking it and partying, sorry, dog. If you're going to be a real parent, that's on hold. Sit down and have a tea party with your little girl. Sit down and play ball with your son. Do what he want to do. Yeah, you may be tired, but you know what? You wasn't tired when you was in the bed making them or behind some building or in a bush or whatever you was doing. I don't know. You wasn't tired doing that, so don't be tired now. The point is getting their life, do what you got to do, make it happen for them, and spend that time with them. Children need time. They need love. They need acceptance. They need discipline. They need time. They need your time. That's what they after. They need your discipline. You can't let your children just do whatever they want to do. If your child is acting crazy and your child coming at you like they crazy, beat their ass. That's what you there for. All y'all scared of them, they gonna call the police. You gotta get to a phone first, dog. You gotta get to a phone. Parents, be parents. Don't be your child's friend. She can tell you, I ain't her friend. I don't like her like that.
Oh.
I am not her friend.
He's not.
Never will be. I am your father. First and foremost, I'm your father. And that's what I'm going to always be. I love her to death. I'd give my life for her, give my life for any of my kids because I need them to succeed. But they define their success, not me. I'm just a vehicle to make sure that they get all the tools that they need to be successful because they didn't ask to come here. I chose to bring them here. So since I chose that I was man enough to make a kid, I'm going to be man enough to raise a kid every single day of their life. And that's why I've been there for y'all.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. So, you already know the whole join her thing. My dad was a big part of that. Like, when I came to him with the idea, had one of those weird adrenaline rushes. Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I like texting and be like, I got this great idea. And it'll be the craziest stuff. But that's one thing I really appreciated is you support us. But you don't just support us, you put us in the right direction for the resources. Like if you're gonna do this, this is how you do it. This is how you be effective. And that's something that I always want to make sure, even when I have children or, even with our nieces and nephews, that I'm effective, or even just in people's lives, even with the blog that I'm doing. If you're good, that's something that my dad has always instilled in us. If you're going to do something, be effective with it. Don't waste your time and don't waste other people's time. And fathers are really important because I know some people who, not no fault to their own, they don't have dads. Or they do have dads, but they're not active. And people look at me and, my sisters and oh, y'all really, y'all dad is really like that? It's yeah, people think it's crazy. I'll stop what I'm doing, daddy, what you doing? People are this is crazy. But the support that you get from a father, it literally changes and saves your life. It puts you on a whole different track. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people talk about the importance of mothers, which I'm not down on mothers. Mothers, they bring us into this world, they're important. But the power that a father has and the role that a father plays is crucial. It's necessary. It's needed. And with a lot of crazy things happening to black men all around the world, I think the world needs to stop and realize the position that a black man plays and why you guys are needed, and how that has to be savored and understood. Like, this is not a joke. Black fathers are needed. And a lot of people, like, the whole stigma of black fathers aren't active, that to me is crazy, because I come home every day and I see one who puts in work for me, my sisters, my mom, to make sure that we have everything that we want and that we need. So that's crazy. I don't want you guys to sit up here and believe that black fathers aren't around or black fathers aren't doing what they have to do, because I come home to one every day who goes above and beyond, which I appreciate that, because my life and my quality has been great.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, this is what I'm proud of. This is what I was hoping to get when it came to my girls. I'm proud of all of my daughters. I'm proud of all of my girls. They've turned out far better than, I ever could have hoped. Because the thing about being an active father is you put a lot into your children. You put a lot into their success. But you cannot be overbearing. You cannot be pushy, which sometimes I was. But you learn. As a father, you don't just teach raising children. You learn. You have to learn that every child is different. People talk all the time about, oh, I treat all my kids the same. Well, that's probably why they don't like you. If you treat all your kids the same, I mean, if I was your child and you treated me the same as you treated my brother or sister trying to be equal, I probably wouldn't like you, because I'm different. I'm a different person. And if you're a real parent and an active parent, you understand that I can't treat all my children the same. I can treat my children fairly, and I can treat them on an equal plane as far as a person, but I have to treat them based on their personality, because that is the only way that they're going to bloom. That's the only way that your child is going to mentally grow. You have to recognize what their personality is. You have to work with that. You have to try to groom that. You have to attempt to make that work for them, because it's not about you at that point. It's all about them. And it's all about making sure that they push forward and that they not only do better than you, but that they're successful at whatever it is that they choose to do when they become adults, and also when they become parents. We all want our kids to be better than us. We all want our kids to have more than us. But at the same time, what we give our kids in material goods, that's not always something, in fact, that never compensates for what you give your kids in time, in love, in acceptance when they mess up, and in you learning as a parent how to come at them in a correct way. And if you don't come at them in a correct way, having enough decency as a parent to understand there are going to be times in your life when you might have to apologize to your kids if you made a mistake. There's nothing like kids seeing a parent that has humility. Nothing like it. Because the qualities you show are the qualities your children will have. If you can show humility to your children, they'll understand how to show humility to other people. If you can show drive to your children, they'll understand how to be driven and show drive to other people. If your children see you learning, if your children see you studying, if your children see you reading, they're going to want to emulate you and do what you do. If you work hard and if you take things and spend time, it's not just vacation time with your kids, but it's learning time. Every day as a parent should be you learning something new to either talk to your kids about down the line or to help you better understand your children. Just because you read certain things or come across certain things doesn't mean you have to follow it. It just means it's another piece you can probably take in to use, or a piece that you know for sure you don't want in your life, because this is not what I want, to raise my kids by. That's fine. Do whatever you need to do, but talk to other parents. Just because you're talking to another parent doesn't mean you have to be exactly like that parent. You want to learn, and as black men, that's one of the biggest problems that I feel personally in the black community is communication amongst black men. Black men have some of the worst communication skills I have ever seen. Yeah, I said it. I know it's a whole lot of black dudes out there pissed off, upset. What? I don't care. I don't even know you, dog. I don't really care. The fact of the matter is, I work with and I deal with black men every day. Now, there are a lot of black men I come across, excellent communication skills in work, with their family, with me, with friends, whoever. But overall, I come across a lot of black dudes always in their feelings about something. Always think the world is against you. Always think everybody don't like you. And then we unfairly get, a rapper being angry. People tell me I'm angry all the time. I have people tell me all the time, oh, DJ, you angry. Oh, DJ, you mad. You the angriest brother that I've ever seen. You don't never smile. Look, dog, just because I ain't smiling at you don't mean I'm mad. I'm probably thinking about something that ain't you. So don't think that I got to smile at you every time I see you. You ain't the master. Go away with that. Don't think that every time somebody is walking past, just because they may look like they're frowning to you does not necessarily mean they're frowning. That's why we get this thing, they talk about angry black women. You know why black women are angry? Because y'all won't leave them the hell alone. I mean, man, sisters be trying to just mind their business. It's a rare occasion for a black woman not to mind her own business. But guess what? Some dude always trying to be in her face, always trying to talk to her, or some woman always staring at her. Sometimes it may be for a good reason, sometimes it may be for a bad reason. But how would you feel if everywhere you went, you almost felt judged? And then people always telling you to smile. Man, shut up, you smile. My tooth may be hurting. I may have some candy in my mouth that I'm just trying to chew easily without people saying. Stop telling black women, smile, beautiful. Look, they know they beautiful. They black. They black queens, black American queens. They know they beautiful. They don't need your reassurance. That's what fathers are for. We're here to reassure our miracles that they're beautiful. Now for the rest of y'all, it's cool that y'all look. It's cool that y'all talk to them. But this is where a good father comes in. Teaching your daughters to understand, and that's another subject we'll get to, this whole angry black woman thing, where people just don't understand. Y'all need to leave sisters alone. Sisters get a bad rap. Black women get a bad rap all the time. They work hard. They're some of the highest educated women right now. They're coming up. They're working harder than a lot of black men. They're getting out there. They're getting this education. They're building independence. But that ain't what we want. We don't want our sisters to be independent. That's another subject we'll talk about one day, is why black women should not be independent. Don't do all that independent woman thing. I know they sang that song, but guess what they did after they got past that? They went and got them a man. We need y'all to do that. We need y'all to get married. We don't need all these independent black women walking around out here with no man, a whole lot of money, and a lot of education. God didn't put you here to be lonely. He didn't put you here to be by yourself. Just because you educated, you're beautiful, and you have a lot of money because you got a good job, doesn't mean that you have to be by yourself. But there are things that we'll talk about that, a lot of women, especially educated women, I'll say educated black women, don't get the proper advice as to how they attract a man. And then the biggest problem, understand this, black women, it's not y'all. I don't care what these dudes tell you, you are not the problem. A lot of these brothers are the problem. And that's something else we'll talk about. I get a lot of brothers that'll get mad at me. They'll say things, but sisters are up against a whole lot of things that they're struggling against. You're up against a world that you have a whole lot of black men that want white women or women of other races. A whole lot of black men and other people in other races that'll put stigmas on black women and want to put you in a jar and kind of group you all together as if all black women are the same. And everybody wants to look at a black woman like she's just some exotic thing to be played with because of her shape, because of her beauty, because of her skin, because of her hair, because of the way she looks. That's just wrong. But then people will give women of other races a pass. And you know what? The problem in the black American race is the black man, period. And it's not the fact that it's all of us, because we got black men all over this country that are busting their butts and working hard and striving hard. We got, millions of them striving hard to make things better. But you know what our problem is? These bum-ass dudes. That's our problem. All of y'all that want to be pimping ain't easy. Man, y'all a problem. I'm going to need that to stop, yo. All of y'all that want to have 4, 5 women at the same time. All of y'all that want to go out here and make 12, 13 kids that can't take care of. All of y'all that keep the child support system rolling because y'all just won't stop having kids that you can't take care of. You knew after you had the first one you were struggling, but you got kids by 5, 6, 7 different women. Y'all need to slow down. And brothers need to start getting more educated. You need to understand that you're in a country that wasn't made for you. And there's nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing you can do. But that doesn't mean you can't adapt to a certain extent so that you can get your money right, get your education right, and learn to push things forward. That's what I teach them. You have to adapt to a place that wasn't built for you. America wasn't built for us. I know that. Every white person in America knows that because there's something called white privilege that we're arguing about right now. White privilege, that's not my big problem right now. My big problem is economic racism. That's something we'll talk about on another day because it's real. It's very real. It makes no sense that you'll have a black man or a black woman with a PhD and they'll have 10, 12 years of experience, but you over here working for Bobby Smith because he knew the right person, and Bobby ain't never spent a day in college. Really? Is that how it works? Yeah, that's how it works. But it's not something to be upset about. It's not something to be mad about. You have to learn to adapt to a place that was not made for you. But you're here now. You're here. And you got to understand, every white person ain't a bad person, just like every black person ain't a bad person. We so mixed up now that this whole white-black thing, it don't make no sense.
I just want to thank you for joining my vlog. I've been bothering him, but he is a dad, you know, a husband. He works, he runs a business. We'll get into a lot of that. Trust me, Dad will be on the vlog a lot, guys and ladies. But no, this is something I really wanted to do, and like I said, a lot of the inspiration came from my dad for joining her. He's really supportive. Black fathers matter. If you know a black father, if you have a black father, just appreciate them while you can. And I just want to thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Is there anything you want to say to the viewers?
Hey, next time we'll talk more about some of the subjects I touched on. I'm sure I touched on a lot of things. And we'll just finish it off when you get time. So,
See,
thanks for having me.
for everyone that knows me, this is my dad. This is what I'm blessed to have every day. A lot of people don't have fathers, so if you do have a father or a father figure in your life, really take advantage of that because it's well needed. And it's something that it's bad to say, but it's something that it's rare to have for everyone to have. And he's a little crazy, but he's dope. You know, he's raised us well. It's been fun growing up with him and my mom and my sisters. And like I said, appreciate black fathers. Dad, you are appreciated. I
Thank
love you. This is my twin. I just got hair. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. Like the video, share it, subscribe, comments. We will be taking requests. We'll be doing more vlogs together, so feel free to just support. Thank you guys.
Take it easy.
Goodbye.